Here at another episode of Varsity House Podcast with your host, Shaun Crawford. This episode, we have Lexi Saulny, who's a senior at Notre Dame right now, who wanted to come on and co-host with me, so very excited to have her on. And then we also are featuring members of the North Carolina women's lacrosse team, so very excited for this episode, obviously. I mean, this is my first episode featuring female athletes, so I'm very excited. Thank you guys for coming on. We have Jamie Ortega, Andie Aldave, Taylor Moreno, and Scottie. Scottie's just a beast, so we really don't need her last name. But no, I appreciate you guys coming on for sure. I mean, I know, we're getting into postseason play right now. You guys are 18-0, and I mean, it's been a heck of a run so far. So again, appreciate you guys coming on. You guys just finished the ACC Championship game. You got a big win over BC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And how quickly did you have to move on, or like what was the message after that game? Did you get to enjoy that game a little bit, or was it more so just like, all right, like postseason starts, like, yeah, we had a great season, we got an ACC championship now, but I mean the real thing starts now. So what was the message from coach and also just between each other on the team?
I think from Jenny, it was more of like, enjoy this moment. You guys deserved this. Obviously we won the ACC championship game. It's such a huge game for us, and just more enjoying it, celebrating it. And then, once Sunday came and the selection show, it's kind of, we're starting the next part of our season. So it's kind of now, that's behind us, and we're kind of just looking forward to, our game Sunday against either UVA or USC.
What was the ACC championship like? So, I mean, obviously at Notre Dame, we play, or football, we play in we don't have a conference. So we actually got to play an ACC championship game one time, the COVID year, ended up losing, awful. But it was, so I've never gotten to win an ACC championship, or just in that fact, even a conference title. So what was that like for you guys?
I guess I can speak on it since that was my first one. Mm-hmm. These guys have, it's actually been kind of funny, playing for Notre Dame the past 4 years and seeing them win it the past 4 years, and now being a part of one for like our all of our last years. But honestly, it was really cool. I think for me, it was just, soaking it in and realizing, where I was and where I've come now. And I think, like Jamie had mentioned, I think it was such an accomplishment for us. I mean, to go undefeated in the ACC, which is hands down the best conference for women's lacrosse, is something really hard to do. And I think for us, it just proves the type of people we are, athletes and competitors. So I think for me, it was honestly awesome. I don't think I've smiled that much. And just really exciting to know, we're still, our best lacrosse is still out there. And to win the ACC championship, I think just proves again, that we're the best team in the country right now.
Yeah, and I can kind of add to that a little bit. Also, this is now my 5th ACC championship that I've won. So I think to kind of give a different perspective, I think it's awesome every single time, you go out and you're playing against some of the best players in the country, especially, as Andie said, in one of the best conferences in women's lacrosse. And for me, I think every single time we go out and play on a stage like that and you come out on top, it's still just, it's honestly more special every single time you do it, because it's honestly just a testament to all the hard work you kind of put in starting in late August, early September. So to kind of see it pay off has been super awesome for not only me, but for the rest of the people on this team.
Gotcha. Now you haven't, I mean, the last championship was 2016, right?
NCAA, yeah.
Yeah. What's the feeling going into, I mean, obviously post play, just because you say you've won 5 and obviously North Carolina has won multiple recently, but what's the attitude going in to post play now that now you got to get the championship?
Yeah, I think we all are kind of in a situation where obviously it's awesome to win an ACC championship, and I've been fortunate enough to be here for 5 out of the 6 straight that we've just had. But at the end of the day, the big one is the one that we all want. And for me, I know Scottie and Jamie too, I mean, my past 3 times showing up at a Final Four, we've lost, and it just literally sucks to be that close to winning. And so I think this year, like, we're all in a headspace where we're taking it one game at a time. And obviously with the ultimate goal that we want to come out on top and we want to come out with the national championship. And I know that we're very, very capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got some, you got Andie with you guys. So that's something different. Andie, how's it?
Another level with her. You're lucky.
Yeah, you got some definitely some luck with her. How's your transition been to North Carolina?
It's been awesome. I mean, I think a lot easier than I think I ever expected. I was lucky enough to transfer with 2 other people. One, another graduate student who's actually my roommate, Sam, who transferred from Richmond, and then Olivia Dirks, who's an underclassman, came from Penn State. So to kind of do it with a group of people, I think definitely makes it a little bit easier than being by yourself. But I think me and Sam have been super fortunate to kind of come into an already big, 5th and 6th year class who are so experienced. They've been on the team for the past 5-6 years, and they know what it's like to make it a championship weekend and win ACC championships. And I think lacrosse aside, they're even better people. And really, like, I feel like that's the biggest part of it all. If you don't have like trust and loyalty with and build relationships off the field, then lacrosse isn't really going to come as easy. But they accepted us right away, and you were super grateful for that. And I think it's just made our team even closer this year. And I think it shows on the field as well.
Yeah, you guys also like being great. I mean, obviously with the many conference titles, are you guys? Because I was talking to Lexi about this, and we were trying to figure out are you guys pretty just, I guess, given the correct recognition around campus? Just because, I mean, obviously, I'm sure they love the basketball team, they love the football team. Those are the only 2 teams that, or maybe some soccer team. I don't know, but do you guys feel like you guys get the correct recognition or acknowledgement? Just because at Notre Dame, we have a great fencing team. Andie, you probably know, and they've been national champions. I don't know how many years, but you wouldn't even know it just based off of just the the love that they get or just the acknowledgement they get. But so I was just wondering. I mean, you're one of the best teams on campus for sure. So I wanted to see or wanted to know how do you guys feel about that, and how do you feel like you are just, I guess, respected around campus?
Yeah, I think I can answer that one. I haven't gone yet. But I think overall the women's sports teams here are very elite. I think our women's tennis program just won their indoor national championship. Field hockey won a championship last year and won ACCs this past year. Women's soccer has the most national championships in over the entire school. And so I just think generally, I think the women's sports are very well respected. Obviously lacrosse isn't that popular in the South, but having such a big game on Saturday night, we had a great turnout, and we tend to have a lot of students at our games, and professors are always tuning into our games and watching and following us. And that's, it is really special. I think, considering that, we know it's not as popular down here, and we all come from, hotbeds, in the Northeast. And so, it's really nice to kind of see the growth of the game, down here. And, but no, I think we definitely get the respect. We, from other students, from other athletes. But generally, I mean, we go to a school, very similarly to Notre Dame. It's like an athletic utopia. And so everyone just excels at what they do. And so I think overall, everyone respects each other just because everyone is elite and really great at what they do. So.
Yeah, and just to quickly touch on what Scottie said, is a lot of the teams are actually very supportive of one another in terms of showing up to each other's games and showing support, especially for big games. I know we had a big turnout of women's soccer players, men's lacrosse players, field hockey players at our game on Saturday. So at the end of the day, you can always rely on other student athletes to kind of be that support system, because they obviously understand what the experience is like and they know how big of a deal it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the first year we've ever had a band at our one of our games. Northwestern, like a full band come.
It was by far the most annoying thing.
Yeah, it was kind of tough.
We hated it.
We had like a little student section. So this year, I feel like, especially, we've had more students come to our games, not just student athletes, which has been kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's nice also when you got the weather, because here in South Bend, April or March and April definitely isn't, the best weather to be outside watching any game, whether it's like lacrosse, whether it's baseball or anything. So I'm sure the weather in the campus helps out a lot for sure.
Oh yeah, people come to our games and just tan out there. Like, they don't care. Like, it's nice to just sit in their stands, especially on the one side away from our bench. You could just get so much sun. You could really get some color.
Yeah.
Alexia, did you want to say something?
I was going to ask Andie, that sounds like a really fun atmosphere that you guys have at your games. Did you feel that at Notre Dame, or is that something that's been different in your transition to North Carolina?
I was actually about to tack on to what they were saying. I think, like Scottie said, the game is still growing down here in the South, but like in the Midwest, we really, women's lacrosse games, it was really nothing more than like the parents that came and like some student athletes if they wanted to sit in their parka on a Sunday afternoon. But I think that's something that's been really cool to kind of see how many people they attract. My grad cohort, like they all come and they think it's so cool to, know someone on the team and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool. It's definitely, Jordan's Field where we play is definitely becoming a huge atmosphere for women's lacrosse. And I think when you host games like the ACC Championship, it kind of even makes it more attracting for people to come. So it's been super cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of have a similar experience. We never really had much turnout for our games. And I honestly feel like a lot of the women's sports at Notre Dame don't get a lot of turnout other than like the women's basketball team. So I was just curious to hear what you had to say about that. I'm starting to think it might be a Notre Dame thing.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was interesting is just that I know Notre Dame is like huge on talking about like supporting other student athletes and stuff like that. And I feel like our team, like the women's lacrosse team, like we would go to like everyone's stuff, like no matter what sport, just because like we all love to watch sports and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't know if it's exactly reciprocated, all around to every team, varsity's team. But I honestly think here, like Scottie mentioned it, there's so many different sports that are so elite and have won so many national championships and are contending in, NCAAs and stuff like that, where it's like you want to go because you're watching them make history and win national championships and conference championships as well. So I think that's, something that's also very different down here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that for you guys.
Yeah, I was telling Nikki, Jamie's sister, that I feel like I had to get you on just because I personally kind of love lacrosse. I randomly played it my senior year in high school. I always ran track, but I was just like, let me try something new. Let me go play lacrosse. And I actually loved it. It was I wasn't good. I was just like athletic. And so like I love face-offs though. And I was like pretty quick, I guess, with the face-offs and then like hitting it out of the defender's hand. But I know there are some differences between the men's and women's game. What are some of those? And do you, like, is there something that you would change, I guess, to make it more like the men's game, or do you like it the way it is? You guys are smiling, so.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think specifically women's lacrosse in college, I would say for the most part, they've actually done a really good job of changing some of the rules recently to kind of pick up the pace of the game, because before that it was very, very slow. When a whistle blew, every single person on the field had to stop moving. Like, you weren't allowed to move. It was just like very slow pace. People could stall when they were up by 4 with like 15 minutes left in the game. So adding a shot clock, allowing free movement, and really just creating rules that allowed a little bit more freedom for a lot of lacrosse players on the field has been super advantageous for our sport. And it's also helping to grow it more. There's definitely been an increase in not only women's lacrosse players, but in men's lacrosse players as well. Obviously, the huge difference is the level of physicality. We have to be a little bit more technical and a little bit more restrained versus the boys, because obviously they're wearing all that equipment. So at the end of the day, I don't think any of us would wish that it would be more like men's lacrosse, because that would essentially entail us being in more equipment, which I think a lot of girls don't really want. But at the end of the day, it does force us to focus a lot more on our stick work, a lot more on our footwork, because we don't have the luxury of having a deep pocket. We don't have the luxury of not having an 8-meter or 12-meter. So there are a lot more rules that you have to be a little bit more strategic for women's lacrosse.
Yeah. One thing I would like to change, though, to be like more like the men's is, 6v6. We have 7 girls at a time on offense and defense. And, I think taking one person away would, I don't know, just make it a little bit more easier and more fun to have that little flow to play.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just allow you to score more, huh?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Gives Jamie more space.
Yeah, so I played defensive midi. I don't even know if that's like a position in college, just because I could just stay in front of people and just like prevent them from, like, I guess, penetrating the defense. But when I got on offense, I was no help to the team. I actually scored 1 goal though, but other than that, I was no help to the team. As soon as we went on offense, I ran off the field. So. But it was definitely a fun experience for sure. I love the game. So you mentioned, is there? I know you mentioned you said in college. So is there professional lacrosse?
There's a bigger platform for the men's on the men's side, and that was, so they used to have the the Major League Lacrosse. And that was going on for a while. And then a guy named Paul Rabel, who's like kind of one of the goats of men's lacrosse, created the Premier Lacrosse League, which is also known as the PLL. And that's kind of grown the game a lot on the men's side. And so there's definitely better opportunities for the men's side, because I think people consider it more entertaining, more or less. But there is only recently it's the Athletes Unlimited ended up taking over. There was a league beforehand. No one has been able to quite figure out like the best way to go about it. But I think Athletes Unlimited they had their first season last year, and honestly, they did a really great job. I think they learned a lot from that first season. There's a lot of rules there that are not in college. And so I think it added a lot more flexibility and freedom. I think it was also based off of like a point system, more or less. And if you won, your team got points, and if you scored, you got points, and if you saved, had to save, like you got a point. And so they're still figuring it out, but as of right now, that is the professional league for the women's side, which is exciting. It's good growth. Any growth is good growth.
How realistically would you guys think about signing to play in this Athletes Unlimited League? We have it for volleyball also. It's been going on for a couple seasons now, and I think it sounds really cool. I think the way that they've kind of individualized the point system is really unique and really cool, and I think it's just a fun way to play the game for volleyball at least. So how realistically would you guys think about committing to this league?
Yeah, I think there's a very high probability that a good group of girls on our team, like Jamie, Andie, myself, Scottie, Emma Trenchard, will probably be getting drafted. Obviously, fingers crossed, hopefully. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to not only continue playing, but to help continue growing the sport, especially because, like you guys said, Scottie and Jamie, like their names are known and people are going to want to go watch them play even post college. So I think it'll be a great way to help continue to grow the sport. And like you said, it's very, very unique. It's new. And if we can help maintain it and keep it going for the next generation of lacrosse players, then that means that we're doing at least something right.
Yeah, for sure.
Taylor, I would say you're known too. I actually requested you. I mean, how do you attack the game? Because I mean, being in your position, it has to be tough, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by these guys every single day. I mean, I have Andie, Scottie, and Jamie, and Caitlin Worsberg, all those guys shooting on me every single day, and that's what makes me better. And then when it comes game time, I have one of the best defensive units in the country playing in front of me. So as much as the prep for me entails obviously getting reps and getting shot on all the time, the prep that those guys put into every single day is honestly what helps make me the teammate and player I am every single day. And so, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what that kind of adjustment's like, because, the pro league defensively, it's a completely different game. You're seeing a lot more outside shots. You're seeing a lot more just shots you wouldn't necessarily be seeing in the college game, because there's no 3 seconds, there's no shooting space, there's no 8-meter arc fan, the field's shorter. It's a lot faster paced game. So it'll be really interesting to see how that adjustment goes for obviously a lot of people, because it's going to be a new atmosphere, a new environment. But I mean, I'm excited to continue playing. And I know these guys too, and I obviously don't want the time playing with them to end yet. So we'll see where it takes all of us.
Do you get scared? Because I mean, I played a little bit, but I feel like I never got scared in football, no matter how big the person was or anything. But I feel like if that ball is coming, I remember I was running up on someone and they were shooting, and I flinched a little bit. But how do you? I mean, every single day I feel like people are shooting at you, and like you said, you have some of the best players on your team shooting at you, even throughout the week. So what's your mindset when the ball's just coming at you?
Yeah. I think for me, it's obviously confidence and courage that's been built up over time. Don't get me wrong, when I first started playing, absolutely sucked getting hit with lacrosse ball. I mean, honestly, even today, it still sucks getting hit with lacrosse ball, but it's one of those things where your body almost gets trained to get used to it. I know when I first started playing, getting hit, you'd almost have to walk a lap around the crease to kind of walk it off. And there's every once in a while, that one shot that you'll get where you're all right, that actually really freaking hurt. So it does take a little bit of you have to have a short memory. It's all right, you get hit, you can think about it for 5 seconds, and then you got to forget about it, because the more you think about it, the more it's going to hurt. But my mentality going into it too is the more I can save with my stick, the less I get hit. Can't necessarily say I've really gotten any better at that, but still work in progress now. I mean, we do a little training sometimes with kids, especially kids who move out of the way of lacrosse balls. You lay them on the ground and you hold the ball over their helmet and you just let it go and you let it drop on their face. And they actually after the first 3 to 4 ones, they start to get used to it and they don't flinch anymore. And I think it's that idea of all right, it's just a ball. It's once you get better at seeing it and tracking it and making a save, then you have nothing else to worry about.
She makes it sound like it's easy.
I would be terrified if I had to do that.
I still wouldn't flinch.
Yeah, you literally could not pay me to go up. No.
I'm not gonna lie, taking a Charlotte North rip off the shin on Saturday was not fun.
I mean, even if I had Scottie shooting on me, I'm scared when she shoots, I'm even around the net, so I couldn't. So
I have a little more lighthearted goalkeeping question that my volleyball team actually has asked our strength coach a whole bunch of times. She never knew the answer to it, because she's also the strength coach for our women's lacrosse team. Mm-hmm. You guys have different uniform rules as a goalkeeper, correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Our question was always, why don't you guys just wear really baggy pants and basically just cover up the entire goal?
I mean, realistically, I could wear sweatpants if I wanted. You can wear shin guards. You could wear all the extra equipment you wanted to take up as much room as you wanted to.
Yeah.
But But at the end of the day, like for me, I prefer less equipment. Like I legitimately only wear my helmet, my gloves, and my chest protector, which happens to be a kid's small chest protector that I cut padding off of too. So because I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of that equipment can kind of slow you down a little bit more. And in the college game, the shots are so much faster. You have to be a little bit more athletic and agile. And so it's kind of interesting to see. I know there are goalies in Division I that still wear extra padding, shin guards, and the whole 9 yards. But it's more of a preference, I think, which is kind of the interesting part. Like as much as every other position on the field has a different style and a different technique, goalies are the same exact way.
That makes sense.
We have a segment called One of None, basically where we share just like a one of none moment, just an experience, whether it could be like on the field, off the field, but just like something special that just jogs your memory, and then that's like something that you can always point back to, just to like a highlight of your career, basically. I always mention mine is just like getting a forced fumble in a big game versus Michigan State on the road. So, do you guys have any, I guess, one of none moments that you want to share?
I think this year would probably be when we went to Boston. And, this was the first time we played them since we lost in the Final Four. So obviously so many emotions. And it was their alumni weekend. So, we're there Sunday. We played at noon or 1. And the stadium was packed. Also, it broke like a record of how many fans in a stadium for a women's lacrosse game, which is like, I forgot what the number was, but it was
just under 6,000.
Yeah. Which is crazy. And we were actually
just for a regular season. I mean, Final Four weekend, you'll get around that much, but for a regular season game, it was absurd.
Yeah. So thinking of playing in Boston with a record breaking, fan base, in a regular season game, playing Boston themselves that we haven't played in a while, and then winning. I mean, it was just an incredible day. It really that stuck out to me. It was very personal, but I don't know, just that will always be with me forever.
Mm-hmm. I think team wise, I think my favorite memory was when we played in the Final Four at Johns Hopkins in 2019. That was another record-breaking crowd, and we had also played BC. The game went into, was it double overtime?
I think triple.
Yeah, it was double. It was double.
It was something insane, and I think we we broke a record for how many streams there were for the game, and then people there. It was incredible, and I think at the end of it all, although we lost, I think one of the biggest takeaways was that growth of the game, which was really, really special, because it was probably one of the best games of lacrosse I've ever been a part of, and even just watched. And then I guess individually, Taylor and I, I never would have thought I would be on SportsCenter before, but I've been able to do that twice, which is kind of insane. And and I don't know, that's something literally you could dream about. And I remember the first time I was number 2, and I was right behind Kawhi Leonard, hitting that 2-pointer against the Sixers to take them into the finals. And I remember being so pissed, because I'm also I'm from outside of Philadelphia, and I was of course this happens, but it was really a crazy experience.
And
what was your play?
Against Florida, right?
Yeah. So it was one of my teammates went to take a dodge. She kind of got jammed up. And the ball rolled kind of right in front of the goal area, and everyone went down to pick it up. And fortunately I got to it faster than them, and picked it up and scooped it right behind my back, and it went in. So it was pretty cool.
It was sick.
It was one of those backyard tricks that you do, and you never, you practice it kind of just for fun, and it was one of those things where it just happened. And I had done it again.
I was going to say, didn't you do it this
season?
season?
I did it this season against Notre Dame, actually.
It just got overlooked.
Taylor had like an insane save that game. So that's where she got on SportsCenter. But yeah, no, it was unreal. But it was one of those things that, you really just practice it because it's fun, and, you never know when you're going to need to do a trick like that. And it just so happened that, that I needed to do it then and there. So
I would say, I guess, like, mine has to be probably playing semifinals of the ACC tournament at Notre Dame versus Notre Dame. I literally, when I knew the tournament was going to be out there, I was like, there's no way we don't play them. Like, somehow this is going to add up. And, they gave us a really good game, but I, never thought I was going to play on that stadium, on that field again. So I don't know. It was just kind of like full circle for me being back in South Bend and kind of being there with them. Obviously it's a very different feeling being the opposing team for once, but I don't know. I guess it was just one of those moments where you're like, no, I was just saying it was like one of those I was supposed to be here like moments, and like everything was coming full circle for me. And it was just even, 10 times better to walk out of there with a win in South Bend, which is honestly a really hard place to play as an opposing team, which I didn't even realize until last week.
Yeah, not easy.
And you scored 2 goals, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So that was kind of cool.
We did some research. You didn't even mention that.
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess like we had played them earlier on in the season. So honestly, it was, the 2 other transfers we never played there, teams they transferred from. So I got the luck of the Irish in that, getting to play them twice in one season. But yeah, it was cool just to kind of, be with them and be in South Bend with a different team.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Oh, no. If you want to move, we can move on.
No. You're good. Okay,
mine's kind of quick. I would say mine would have to be my redshirt freshman year. I was coming off my second ACL, had won the starting spot, and then got hurt again a couple of games before at Northwestern. So I was out for another month. Came back. We ended up winning ACCs, and then I think the main part of that season for me was making it to the Final Four. It was at Stony Brook on Long Island, which is where I'm from. And it was a huge kind of same thing, full circle moment for me, because I was coming from a high school career where I played maybe 2 minutes because of politics. So I never even played in high school. I rode the bench the entire time. And then to kind of be coming back home to play in a Final Four with North Carolina in front of all my family and friends, and to kind of be like I proved you wrong kind of mentality was kind of my moment. That was pretty special for me. And it was, even though we ended up losing to JMU, who ended up winning the national championship, it was just a surreal moment for me to kind of be like, you can literally do anything you put your mind to. And if you work hard and you never stop grinding, like those are things that can become a reality for you.
How'd you get to North Carolina?
Club lacrosse was my saving grace. I was actually fortunate. One of my roommates, Kate Katowski, her dad was my club coach. And we'd have a tryout, and he made sure that I was the only goalie on the team, because he basically made me his little prodigy. He'd shoot on me all the time. And, he laid a foundation for me to become the athletic type of goalie that I am today. So I'm very grateful and appreciative of the time he spent and the time he put into me. So that was essentially what got me to Carolina. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And it was at the end of my recruiting stint too. So that was another thing of just being patient and kind of waiting out to see all of your options and really taking the time to think about where you want to go to school and the environment you want to be around. So that was kind of like how that all happened.
Got you. Lexi was actually, you're a walk-on, right?
I am.
Can you share your experience a little?
Yeah, so I actually also was beginning to be recruited by Notre Dame at the end of my kind of recruiting process in high school. It was very late. It was probably February or March of my senior year. And the head coach ended up medically retiring. So when they were kind of trying to make a decision about preferred walk-ons, they were just like, we have too many moving parts right now. We can't take any more players. But the assistant coach was like, if you get into Notre Dame and you still want to play volleyball next season, like just give me a call. So I ended up getting in. I played on the club team my freshman fall. And in the spring, one of the girls that plays my position on the team got mono, and they needed another practice player. So I came on, and they asked me to stay, and here I am 4 years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a really nice story.
Thank you.
Oh,
Started some games too, right?
I did. I started my senior year for most of the season. Started a little bit junior year. It was definitely a journey for sure.
Yeah. NIL. Obviously, it's new, but it's also a big topic with college athletics. How have you guys been able to like capitalize on that at all, or not much so far?
I've actually
I was gonna say
a few things. My biggest thing that I've been doing is I'm with Epic, they're a lacrosse company. I'm like their first female athlete. They have like some of the top male athletes like Matt Rambo, Tom Schreiber. They all play in the PLL now, but I'm their first like female athlete, which has been really cool. Kind of be the face of them for their company. And then I just actually launched a merch line with Barstool's Sports, which has been really cool. We got to message Dave Portnoy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really awesome. And I think, we're lucky that, playing at UNC and being on the women's lacrosse team, that kind of gives us a good platform. And, I just think this is so deserving for all student athletes. And I'm just happy I was able to experience it. And, thankfully with COVID, I had the extra year and, I was able to, be a student athlete and get an NIL deal.
Yeah, I've done like a merch line. I just launched slides that I'm doing with iSlide. And then my big thing that I launched this past fall was an NFT, which was pretty cool. So that's been a journey. And like Jamie said, it's like super awesome to have this opportunity now. And I think it's going to be huge for college sports going forward.
Are any of you guys signed with like NIL managers or any type of agency?
I have an agent. She's more of like a freelance, and I've actually been a part of her journey in terms of like launching her own company about essentially guiding student athletes through NIL. So she definitely does a lot of the legwork and the hard work for me, which I'm very, very grateful for. And she's been awesome. And a lot of the opportunities I've had for NIL are because of her. So her companies do right, which is awesome. Her name's Dominique, right? So she managed to kind of spin off a nice name for it, but she's been awesome. And I know she's now starting to pick up a couple more athletes, which is awesome for her. So it's kind of hard though, because you have to be really, really careful, because a lot of them, if they're not very familiar with a lot of the legislation that's like around NIL and a lot of the things that can affect NIL that aren't essentially connected very clearly, then you can kind of get yourself into trouble. So it's nice that our school does a really nice job of like ensuring that we take the necessary precautions. And I know my agent's always in contact with someone in our athletic department to make sure that everything that I'm doing contract wise is legal, whether that be for the university or literally state laws or anything like that. And then make sure that we're compliant with NCAA.
Yeah, we also use the university offered this platform called Compass that all athletes can get things approved through. So that's really cool. It's like a really easy way to make sure that you're not breaking any NCAA rules, and like if there needs to be any clarification on anything, somebody who is in the NIL department will contact you, do a Zoom, and just be like, hey, and just to emphasize, like, you can't take photos on campus or using like our athletic facilities, or at least don't make it like obvious that you're, whatever it is. But yeah, so it's kind of nice because it's almost like your own personal agent kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you think that's like a sufficient resource, like without kind of signing with any type of agency? Do you guys feel like you've been able to find good opportunities? Like, how has your experience been with that?
No, definitely. I think it's awesome that our school has taken, it's called Launch, which is kind of like the initiative that they called it. And they've done a really good job of not only like being that resource for us, but they've also provided seminars on like taxes and brands, like trademark and licensing, and like how to build your brand on social media and all that kind of stuff. So it's been awesome to kind of have those opportunities to learn a little bit more about how to brand and market yourself. And yeah, the only challenging part is I know like we're very fortunate enough at UNC to have that, but I know that a lot of schools may or may not have those exact resources too. So I think maybe something more universal that all student athletes could have access to would definitely help.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
With the you guys have well, I don't know if every sport has Jordan brand, but
yeah.
Just our football and basketball team.
Men's and women's basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they hook you up with like maybe some travel gear or anything like that, or not really?
You guys had
my freshman year, we got a Jordan jumpsuit, which is pretty cool. but other than that, like we're strictly like a Nike. We only really get Nike travel gear, Nike practice gear, all of that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, fortunately for them, unfortunate for us, but like men's, women's basketball and football, like they definitely get the cooler Jordan brand stuff
and sneakers.
Yeah. I mean, the women's basketball players, I mean, I've seen their closets before and it's just absurd. Like the shoes that they have, like they're just basically sitting on thousands of dollars worth of Jordans.
Yeah, maybe Lexi could slide y'all a couple pair. She got
That'd be nice.
I know that Charlie actually is getting a pair. Like her team gets a pair. So you guys need to talk to somebody about that. Somebody's jipping you.
So funny.
The volleyball team, you said the volleyball team's getting like travel shoes or something?
I know that they're getting like the gray low ones. I don't know if they're getting anything other than that, but I know they get those.
I will tell you what, our coaching staff, when our director of ops was still with our team, she's actually now one of the bigger head administrators for the NIL program at UNC. She used to hook them up with some sweet game day shoes for their games, like the Dunks and just some absurd shoes that we'd all, they come rolling up with those shoes and we're all like, where the heck did you get those?
Maybe if you guys become Varsity House athletes, then we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Hook you up with some fresh ones. We'll get Jamie out of her bar stool thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this year is kind of unique as far as just like exposure, especially for the women's lacrosse. It says all 28 games of the postseason tournament will be aired on like an ESPN platform. I'm sure you guys know that, but how exciting is that for you guys?
I mean, it's huge. It's so exciting for women's lacrosse. Over the past few years, a few games have been aired, but I mean, it's always becoming so much more popular, and I think people are finding it more enjoyable to watch. So I'm just really excited for, seeing how far it's come.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think like when I was little, it was always like our parents had to take us to the games to watch it because there was no like available stream or anything like that. And now just to see that it's on like ESPN and, you can turn it on and see women's college lacrosse, championship weekend is so cool. And the fact that we can, reach people that way is incredible. And I think like, again, it's a game that's growing, but I think we're kind of chasing the men in terms of, coverage and stuff like that. And again, I think it's still not equal all the way around, but like someone said earlier in this call, any growth is growth. So we'll take it.
Right. I have one more question, but before I ask mine, Lexi, do you have any?
I don't think so. Go for it.
So I have this this little, I guess it's inspirational, motivational, I guess, but picture yourself holding up the trophy, being the 2022 women's lacrosse national champions. In that moment, what are you gonna like? What do you think is gonna be the thing that got you there? That was the result of you winning.
I honestly think it would just be us playing with our heart. I think the team who plays with the most heart is going to win. And, I think we've been really emphasizing that, especially this week going into BC. And that's exactly how we played. And it just felt so good. And I think, I hope that by the end of this, we played with everything we had. There's nothing left, no regrets. We don't have another year. So hopefully, we just put all the money in the bank and it pays off for us.
Yeah, I think thinking back of like all the work that we've put in, even from, when we first started playing lacrosse, I think thinking back to just how we got here in the first place, and especially like this past fall, all the work that we've put in, and like Jamie was saying, like our coach always says, we're putting money in the bank, like right before we're doing like a really hard run test, and we're like, yeah, we're putting money in the bank for like something that's going to happen in like 4 months. And so, but looking back at how hard that was and how we accomplished all of that together, and hopefully being able to hold the trophy at the end, that's when that all of that. That work that you put in, really did matter. And we did it. And it's just, that accomplishment, alone is so special and remarkable, and it's really exciting to dream about it, because it is so real. But, we just have to take it game by game. I think Taylor was saying that earlier, and just, try not to look too far ahead, although it's so easy to, because, but we're going to have to get through some really tough opponents before, we can even reach that spot. So.
Yeah. And I would just add, I think like the collective belief and love that we have as a group, at the end of the day, we're all teammates, we're all friends, but it's also, a family. And when we show up, hopefully Final Four weekend, national championship day, where whether you're on the field or you're not on the field, everyone's bought in and everyone believes that we can come out at the end of the game holding up that trophy. And I think that buy-in mentality that we can all collectively have will be essentially what carries us through, the hard stuff. And it's going to be the stuff that carries us through literally everything in life. And I know that this team is already bought in, and the love that we have for one another, I think is going to be definitely something that carries us through championship weekend.
Yeah, I was going to, honestly, Scottie and Taylor, you kind of took what I was going to say, but I was just going to say like all the hard work and, collective belief and the time that we have put in like truly has paid off. And I think coming from Notre Dame and here, I think lacrosse has been a little bit different for me in the best way possible. And, I think I've pushed myself more than in practice and workouts and stuff like that than I ever have before. So just knowing, we took ourselves to another level and, wanting that to pay off in the end and, seeing that championship trophy, I think, we'll definitely bring that to the forefront.
All right. Well, we're definitely excited. I mean, we're fans. If we weren't fans before, we're definitely fans now.
Love it.
I don't know. Maybe where's the Final Four game?
Johns
Baltimore.
Hopkins.
Where is that?
John Hopkins in Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
I was never recruited there, so I have no idea.
I think they have D3 football, Shaun.
Yeah, I wouldn't be recruiting you.
Yeah. I don't think I had the grades. No, I mean, I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to watch your run. I know, me and Lexi are definitely excited for you, and we appreciate you hopping on today. But who knows? Maybe we'll have to take a trip down to Baltimore and support you guys. And because it's like, you guys seem like you've been to the Final Four a lot, and so this isn't anything new to you. And so I would love for you guys to obviously win the national championship, but also I think it'll be a cool experience if we were there, maybe boozing a little bit and cheering you guys on for sure. So
I think I'm more excited to see Andie's reaction when we hopefully get there.
Yeah.
But no, again, thank you guys. This is another episode of Varsity House Podcast with North Carolina's women's lacrosse team, future national champions. So thank you again for the time, and good luck this postseason.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Shaun. Thanks, Lexi.
Good luck, you guys. Thanks.
It was awesome meeting you guys.
Yeah, it's great meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Hopefully see you Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed another episode of Varsity House Podcast. We thank you to all the players and the coaches who came on the show. I mean, it's not easy for them to take time out of their day and just to give us a glimpse into the program. Here at Varsity House, we always want to make sure that we're delivering great content to our fans. So please like, comment, subscribe, and please leave reviews on teams we should do next, players you want on, and questions you want asked. Thank you again, and let's make it happen.